Welcome to the Brian Murray Show, a real estate show, New Jersey style. Today's discussion point, it's President's Day weekend. A couple things happen on President's Day weekend. The hot topic will be about the spring market, but the discussion point is that now that it's President's Day weekend, and that primarily Abraham Lincoln, George Washington, I guess they have birthdays pretty close together. Growing up, they had separate holidays. Now we have one holiday for the two of them. It's really about, hey, how does the government affect your home value, the housing market, and everything that's kind of associated with it? And the answer to that is they drive everything. Subtly or really directly, they drive the entire housing market. Meaning this, that, hey, the government obviously they set interest rates. Interest rates, drive your affordability. A 1% increase in interest rates reduces your purchasing power by 10%. So if they want to take their foot off of the gas for the housing market, the interest rates go up a little bit. They also control Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Those are the main loan programs and how the entire industry really works. I mean, most people end up with a loan through a government-backed program. Now, you might get it from Chase, or you might get it from Bank of America, or call my buddy Joe Berg at Pinnacle and he'll get you the best one. But most of those loans go through a Fannie Mae program. So the government really kind of sets the parameters as to who's going to get a loan at the bottom rate and who's not going to get a loan at the bottom rate. For instance, if you live in a condo building that might have some commercial space, you're likely not going to get the lowest rate possible, because the Fannie Mae programs are really designed for single-family homes. Other ways the government has an influence on your housing price. The government tax code just eliminated the SALT, or the state and local tax deductions, which have affected how much of the mortgage tax that you can write off, and that has an impact on the price of the home. If you're in New York City and you can't take the $60,000 deduction, it makes a big difference in your monthly cash flow or your yearly cash flow. And then what's going to happen, therefore, is that the downward pressure on the prices. So those are some of the ways. And then one way that the government really benefits everyone is that if you own your home and you're a married couple, and it appreciates $500,000, up to $500,000, and you've lived there 2 of the last 5 years as your primary residence, and you sell it, then you can take that $500,000 gain and have it not be taxed on a federal level. So that's a really big gift that the government gives people. It's a $250,000 gain as a single person, but it's one of the very few areas where you can get a tax-free gain on your investment. So that's today's discussion point on how the government and the presidents, all of them, really affect the housing market. Today's hot topic, the spring market. A lot of the big builders, developers, they really signify that President's Day weekend is the beginning of the spring market. For the most part, people are digging their way out of January. This January happened to be a little bit different, and half of February. So by the time you get to second to third week in February, you're starting to think spring market. It's the beginning of the spring market. And let me show you a little bit why that is with the calendar. That if it takes 45 to 60 days to sell a home typically, and here we are, let's call it the middle of February, that even if you put your home on the market today and you were on the market one day, you would be selling, closing April 1st, April 15th. Now, an average days on the market really for what's been selling in this area is somewhere in the 45 to 60 days before your 45 to 60 day close. So if you kind of look at it from those numbers, now if you added 60 and 60, 120, which is really 4 months. So if you put your home on the market February 15th, you'd be looking at pretty close to June 15th before you're out. Now, why does that make a difference? Because a lot of the people who are looking to sell their homes now and maybe move to the suburbs, they're really targeting that they need to be in the suburbs between the end of the school year here and the beginning of the school year in the suburbs. So that means they really would prefer to move sometime between the middle of June and the end of August, really the middle of August. So they have a small window to get out here and to get there, to get all moved, to get their family settled. It's a really complicated move in a little tiny time frame. So that's why this is the beginning. If you're smart, you put your home on the market early, gives you the time. The last thing you want to do is be sitting there going, oh, it's June 1st, my home doesn't have a contract. Now I'm starting to sweat out. Am I going to get to the suburbs by the fall for my kids to be in school there? So that's really why the spring market starts here. And then the other real reason locally is that a lot of the pre-K and the charter schools have already submitted their placements. So you kind of know where your kids are going to end up if you want them in a charter school and they didn't get in. Well, okay, now it's time to start thinking about going, or a pre-K, it's time to think about start going. So that's today's hot topic on President's Day weekend and the start of the spring market. The good, the bad, the ugly. President's Day weekend, beginning of the spring market. The good, spring cleaning. It's time. Get a head start. Make a list of all the things that you want to start cleaning. Decluttering. There's a difference between cleaning and decluttering. Make the list. Figure out what you're going to need, how much time each of the projects is going to take, and start putting them on your calendar. It's also a great time if you want to hire a professional person to come in and help you declutter. Get on their calendar now so you can start to plan for that. I'll have a whole talk about that in an upcoming episode. But that's the good. Get ahead of your spring cleaning right now. Hey, if it's the beginning of the spring market, it might as well be the beginning of the spring cleaning. The bad. One thing that never gets cleaned are humidifiers. It's crazy. Like, you're putting all this water in there and then it goes up into the air and you breathe it in. And if you look at your humidifier, a lot of them, they never really are able to get clean because they're like plastic and there's a lot of water that sits in there. You really need to take the time to make sure that you just go through the manual and you figure out how to clean it. This would be a really good time to just bang it out. You're halfway through the season. Usually it's a little bit of bleach or they sell some pellets or something, but do it now. If you're watching this, put it on your calendar to just check when you get home or tonight that you make sure your humidifier is clean, because otherwise you're just spewing poison into your own air, which kind of defeats the purpose of having the humidifier. And the ugly. People who wear shorts all winter long. I don't get it. It's like you see this a lot with teenage boys, but then college kids, and it predominantly tends to be a guy thing, but that's not always the case. It's like, I don't get it. It's like 20 degrees outside and you're wearing shorts. It's like freezing cold and you're wearing shorts to walk blocks and blocks. My own kids, they walk all over Hoboken with shorts on. And it's like, it's ugly. It's like, it's not springtime. It's not summer. Don't do it. Please don't do it. Put a pair of sweatpants on. Thank you so much. That's today's good, the bad, and the ugly. Today's bit of inspiration comes from Andrew Jackson, which Jackson Street in Hoboken was named after. It says, take time to deliberate, but when the time for action arrives, stop thinking and go in. What a great piece of advice. That was today's bit of inspiration. This has been The Brian Murray Show. Thanks for watching. If you did find any of it useful, entertaining, please go on to my social media, my Instagram, my Facebook, my YouTube. Follow me, please. You can see every episode at my website, themurraypropertygroup.com. I welcome your feedback, and if there's anything that you disagree with, please reach out to me directly, and I'll show you why you're wrong.